Studies at Universitas Gadjah Mada Graduate School. He is also the president of the Jogja Asian Film Festival and Indonesia Premier Asian Film. For Peter Budi, waktu 3 menit.
Okay, thank you, Julian, for generous introductions. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Okay, first of all, I would like to thank ICFS and CRS for inviting me to this Wednesday board. This is actually the first time I come to this forum. Yeah. Especially when Ida asked me many days ago to share my thought and also propagate my ongoing research, then I formally agreed to that because also now is uh, as a research, ongoing research on disability in many aspects. And I like to look at disability representation in films and also in documentary films, fiction, documentary, and also in other visual media. Yeah, for today, I would like to talk about disability and in films, especially pick up one of the Indonesian film titled Hafalan Surat Desa. I don't know how to translate. Probably
I translated literally is like Delisa memorization of prayer. Probably, yeah, I don't know. Is that precise uh, translation or not? Okay, so here is my presentation outline. First, I will introduce very briefly our today topics, and then I move on to explain about uh, relationship between disability and religions. I should admit that since there are many religions in the world and also in Indonesia, I just probably focus in Islam. And my disclaimer: I'm not an expert in Islam, so I rely on some second kind of resources. And then why I choose film as a medium to understand about disability and religion. And I look at what is the advantage by watching film in order to understand disability and religions. And then I deep into the film that I have selected, Hafalan Surat Delisa, and I will look at many elements of religion and also disability, especially like the representation of disability and religion in that film. And then I provide some problem with cinematic representation of that film. I think the film in some way is good that the film depict issue about disabled persons and also talk about disability in the context of Aceh community in Indonesia after the tsunami. But then still, in my opinion, there are some problematic kind of representation in that film. So that's the presentation outline of my presentation this afternoon. Okay, so what has really triggered me to tackle this issue is because, of course, disability can be explained from different kind of perspective and discipline. But especially the relationship between disability and religion, I think is, in my opinion, is still under research, especially in Indonesia. Since in Indonesia, religion, quite a strong force which shift many way people define what you call the good and bad and something like that, and also the word. Okay, okay, better I will use that for play the clips. Then I think it will be interesting to look at the relationship between religion and disability, especially through film. Why I choose film? Actually, my personal reason, because I study a lot about film, and this is my actually expertise. Then, by doing that, I would like is whether any, problematic in terms of representation. Yeah, because the way how to represent disability, we should really know the issue, and also in some way, in terms of production, the involvement of disabled person or people in the production is quite important, and that's really a matter in the production of a film with people with disability. Okay. So my presentation will explore the intricate relationship between disability religion in the film, especially Indonesian film. And then my main argument is disability in popular media like film tends to be portrayed as a test of faith, with a disabled person embodying high religious morality, while overlooking the pain they experience, including the various disabling barrier in society. So later I will show you in detail from the film the way how film actually portray the main character or the protagonist in that film as disabled a kid named Delisa. So that's why the title is Delisa. Actually, that film is in partly based on the true stories or real events, and then of course that's published first as a novel. A lot of, I think, in some way fictionalization in some part, but also in this film as well. Okay, look. So let's move to the relation between disability and religion. Yeah. As we may know that while religious attitude and responses to disability are quite diverse, it is not uncommon for religious community like Jewish, Christian, and Islamic perspective to emulate or to mimic the medical model by connecting disability bodily conditions with individual deficiency. So in disability studies, there are many models. For instance, like the common one is a medical model. So disability is like, individual deficiency or disabled person can be considered as abnormal because they don't have like, complete organ, and they have a problem with the cognition, mental, intellectual, something like that. And also they have sort of like what's so-called the impairment. And then the other model called as a social model. This model is mostly supported by some disability activists because instead of blaming the disabled person, this model is look at the external factors or structural factors which define what so-called the disability. So if everything, like in social public facilities, everything is accessible and inclusive. Actually, there is no such thing called disability, actually. And then the more recent model called is cultural models. The cultural model is inspired by feminist perspective. It's actually look at in some way the social factors, but at the same times look at also uh, the personal or individual dimension as well. For instance, like they pay attention about issue about pain or something like that, because that disabled person and non-disabled person has quite a different kind of experience in some way, when they adapt it with the social environment, something like that. And the last is relational model. I think that try to embark from the criticism against the so-called cultural model. When look at that in some way, disability should be seen in a relational kind of perspective. Um, I hear quoted from Scam and Stolfus, there is persistent tendency to associate disability with individual sins. Yeah. Sometimes they call it probably it's part of the karma, and sometimes because the kid inherited the sin from their parent or something like that. Of course, there is no one singular kind of understanding of disability in religious perspective. I just give you, for instance, like this one is Al-Awfi, look at the Islamic philosophy on disability, and he said that Islamic philosophy has a positive attitude toward needy individual and those who are in disadvantaged situation. The Quran and Hadith not only declare the existence of disability as a natural part of the human nature, but also provide principle and practical suggestion for caring for disabled people, as well as discussing the significance of such caring. So if I can reformulate this, probably in the Quran, we can find also, the ethical treatment to disabled people. But then it's quite interesting when we actually cannot find a single word disability in the Quran. Yeah. I read during Ramadan, try to recite Quran, but not in the Arabic, but Oxford University, part of the classic series, translated by a scholar from Oxford. I think he's from Egypt. Abdul Hakim, I cannot remember his name. But I try to find out in the surah in the Quran, and there's no word about disability. The word is like this one: disadvantaged people. Yeah, disadvantaged people can be referred like a blind man or deaf or something like that. Yeah, it's quite interesting that Islam urges non-disabled Muslim to deal equally with disabled people. There is one surah in Quran. I cannot remember the Arabic, but that's a surah number 80s. The surah is actually referred when one day when the Prophet Muhammad, did not show that he was happy when someone, the blind man, approached him and, asked about Islamic teaching, and then he just not quite pay attention, and then suddenly God, sent a message, yeah, that one. Yeah, that's quite interesting surah for me, because God directly warned Prophet Muhammad directly. You cannot just treat people like that. You don't know it's better. Probably he has a good treatment, compared to the other? Why you tend to, give a special treatment for the rich people or something like that? For me, that's quite interesting surah in Quran. Uh, yeah, so in Islam, of course, like disadvantaged people, I think not limited to disabled people, but also like orphan as well. Widow, orphans, victim of war probably as well, should be treated well and equal, right? Society civil responsibility is illustrated in Quran, which stresses that society is responsible for taking care such individual and is responsible for improving their condition. The Sunnah also support the notion of social responsibility to disabled people as well. But again, look at this. If we look at this in disability studies, and some way that's refer to what so-called the charity model, which like, disabled people should be treated well. We should, give money and, fulfill their need or something like that. But the way how to look at it's more like in the personal kind of or individual level or individual treatment rather than more structural. Yeah, this is what promoted by a social model. Okay, yeah, this one, traditional disability in some Muslim countries has been seen to have a moral or religious significance. Some cultures look at this in some way, in the level of practices, sometimes it's not common from one Muslim community to the other Muslim community. Sometimes disability is understood as a blessing, while the other seen as a curse, right? And in some Islamic culture, for example, disability has been described as an example of the need to be fatalistic in acceptance of difficulties in life. We should totally accept the condition. So this is actually happened to me when I got an accident, and then, I got a surgery, a 3-time surgery. And then for me, it's not easy to accept, because before, I can walk normally or something like that, because that's a motorbike accident when I still young and restless. And then probably took 3 months. Then finally I can, in Bahasa we call it pasrah or something like that. And sometimes when someone visited to me and then say, okay, so you should be patient, or this is, the test of faith from Allah or something like that, I really hate that, because you can say that because you don't have any, disabled condition. It's easy to say that, but yeah, I can, during that time, I really angry with myself, why I in such a condition. And also the presence of disabled child is seen to be test of a faith, although in earlier time, some Middle Eastern culture were known to bury children with had disabilities. So we have in some way the teaching of Islam and some of the fundamental principle in Islam, and we find out the gap in the practices level. Yeah. This is this kind of frame I used to analyze that film. Okay, so yeah, just very quick. Why I chose film? I think I refer to what Grim Turner said, that film does not reflect or record reality like other medium of representation. It's construct and represent pictures of reality by way of quote, convention, myth, and ideologies of the culture, as well as way of the specific signifying practices of the medium. Even like documentary film, if you watch, let's say, Animal Planets or National Geographic, that's still representation. why not really, reflects the real events or realities. Why? Because if you watch that, let's say when a lion or leopard, capture, let's say, deer or something like that, we find out that the movement, change into slow motion. Yeah. In the nature, there is no slow motion, right? And also added with music as well to be dramatics. So that one is not really, reflects reality. Against that's a construction, and the filmmaker put a lot of, artistic element in that film. Even that we call documentary film, supposed to be, it's very real, claim to be truthful or something like that. Yeah. So therefore, watching film allow us to scrutinize or understand the film, how film reproduce and reinforce the dominant ideology, including religious values as well as ableism. Yeah, this is the kind of, ideology when treated, a human being and discriminate based on, ability, something like that. Of course, we should look at film still in the particular social and cultural context. So this is the film I want to analyze and to discuss in more detail. The title is Hafalan Salat Delisa, and then this film actually released in 2011 based on the best-selling novel written by Terelier. I don't know if whether of you know Terelier. Of course, Terelier is not the real name. As far as I know, the author is actually the former journalist from Republika newspaper, right? And then the story revolves around this girl named Delisa. Yeah, why she finally got one of her leg amputated because of the tsunami, and then her leg, is I don't know, it's got a fracture or something like that, and there's not got quick medication or something like that. Then finally, his leg has been amputated, and then she lost his sister, if I'm not mistaken, 2 or 3 sisters, and then also, of course, her mom as well. And yeah, she finally stayed with his father, and then his father, being a single father, of course, they just stay together in a small wooden cabin, something like that, built after the tsunami. It's quite interesting since the film was set in Aceh, and we know that Aceh famously known as the veranda of Mecca or Serambi Mecca. It depicts various expression, Islamic values, Muslim way of life, and most, like women using, hijab or something like that. Yeah, always greeted or salam or something like that. So we can see the 5, like sort of like a Islamic kind of, very Islamic kind of a culture. This film is not bad in terms of box office. Yeah, it gains 668,731. This is not bad in terms of the film marketing in Indonesia, because in order to recap the capital in film, at least you need to cut 500,000 viewers. Or if you can exceed 1 million, that will be good. If you got, let's say, 5 million, that's it's double or triple your investment. Yeah, and probably perhaps because this is the popularity of the novel, or probably also this film is starred by Reza Radian. During that is very, the rising star, and now is, popular. If you go to the cinema, let's say if you want to watch Indonesian cinema, mostly you find Reza Radian there. And then, and the popularity of the novel as well, I think, also contribute to make this audience come to cinema, and as well as the story about tsunami. I think still resonate with the Indonesian people. So let watch this trailer of this film to give you an impression what the film is about. Yeah.
Elisa, bangun sudah subuh. Bu.
The light.
Tidak. Bangun Elisa, ayo bangun.
Loh, kok Delisa belum pakai kerudung juga?
Ayo. Oh, Umi mau beliin Delisa kalung.
Iya.
Ini kok Delisa ingin beli hadiah untuk hafalan bacaan sholat. Belum tentu juga Delisa hafal bacaan sholatnya. Umi, Delisa suka mendengar bacaan sholat Umi.
Bacaan sholat itu soalnya indah sekali.
Delisa cinta Umi karena Allah.
Jadi kalian semua sholatnya harus khusyuk.
Hafalin yang benar Delisa. Kalau tidak, nanti kalungnya bertaku loh. Iya. Allahu Akbar.
Mr. Osman. Yes, Chairman.
Wait, where?
Your hometown.
She was her mother, her big sisters. She is a Muslim, and she continued with
Okay, as you may know that the main character of protagonist of this film is Delisa. Of course, she's a pious and diligent student who experienced unprecedented disaster when she was memorizing prayer at school.
We know that from the clips that she is really focused, yeah, or how to call it, kusuk. What's it in English, Mas? Kusuk. It's very, deeply concentrate, yeah, what she is doing, yeah. And then, Delisa is, of course, before tsunami and after tsunami, is a lovable and cheerful character who attract many people. She also has a strong emotional bond with her parents, as indicated when she continued to look out for her mother despite not knowing whether she survived. There is a differences between the novel version and the film, because in the end of the in the novel, finally, Delisa, found her mother, but of course, passed away. But in that film, there is no information about the fate of Delisa's mother. Um, okay, so to give you, I capture one of the from a screenshot from that film. This one, you know, although she already got amputated, and then she's still eager to play football. You know, it's quite cheerful. You know, and then this one, when Delisa found by and take care by nurse, and also this uh, you know military part of the humanitarian aids and help Aceh for reconstruction. Delisa write down and also draw her family members. Yeah. So for me, it's quite interesting because in that film, I cannot find any moment or any scene when Delisa is lamenting about her disabled condition. Instead, sometimes when she feels sad, it's not because of his disabled body, but more like losing three sisters and her mom. So yeah. Again, in order to master Delisa studied the Quran diligently, persistently. Although there's not really a big Quran, but more like how to call it, the book about a guidance to perform salat. Yeah, that the book I read because my teacher during that time assigned to read that book. I still have that book, three versions of that book, different edition. In order to master prayer, she studied Quran, and despite her disabled condition, which led her to become a role model of her non-disabled peers. Yeah. This is, actually, although this is the last, the last scene of this film, finally, Delisa is able to perform salat or prayer, and everyone in this kampung or in this area, watch what Delisa is doing, and then they cheer and celebrate. Oh, finally Delisa can perform salat, Okay, so it seems that, if you look at this, Delisa sort of like the center of this, narrative, also the center of this focus in terms of composition, right? The center, everyone was that, right? And so that's why I call it that Delisa sort of to be a role model for people there, not only for just her peers, but also in their community. And I think there's also, we can see in the trailer clips that when the Ustad questioned the tsunami disaster that took many lives, the nurse replied promptly that he should ask Delisa who remained steadfast while undergoing the test of faith from God. Yeah, I mean, lost mom, sister, or something like that, but nevertheless, she remained steadfast and deal with this kind of, let's say, we call it this tragedy, something like that. Within the plot, disability then is accepted as a form of divine intervention because, that's because a tsunami, of course, this is, come from God, not from, if in the point of view of the religious person, this is not a human-made kind of a disaster, and then to test the faith of believers, whether they remain faithful or devoted to God. I think in some way, always we heard about saying you to be tawakal or sabar, something like that, to accept all this, something like that. If Delisa were to experience sadness occasionally, it was attributed to the loss of her mother and sister, three sisters, uh, to the tsunami rather than lamenting her disability. Yeah, like I already saw the pictures. You know, instead of she is crying because she lost one of her leg. No, she because loss of sisters and mother. And in the end of the film, many people were depicted to celebrate the success of uh, this one. Yeah, uh, performing prayer or salat instead of the people building kind of environment is more accessible because I think because of tsunami, I believe uh, Delisa is not the only one. You know, who lost probably one of the organ or something like that. That's also happened in 2006 during the earthquake in Yogyakarta. There are many people, you know, became disabled. And in Indonesia, we potentially became, I'm not one you, a disabled people because, you know, the crazy traffic jam, you know, yeah, and the crazy kind of people not, you know, quite careful in the road or something like that, and also, of course, natural disaster that potentially, you know, create. So if you look at, I cannot remember the figure or the number, but every year the number of disabled people, you know, increase in Indonesia. You know, I think in the last few weeks, you may know that we got a lot of flood, yeah, in Bekasi and Sukabumi, landslide, and many places. And then I believe that also create new disabled people there. Okay, so yeah, this one is uh, for me it's quite interesting, you know, because uh, in this film, we only see the struggle of Delisa by herself and how Delisa, you know, attempt to adjust with, you know, the changing environment caused by tsunami, right? When, you know, people build up again, rebuild the house or something like that, and, you know, the road and everything still messy or something like that. But I think this film there's no, you know, idea how to build, you know, house is more inclusive, it's easy. Even like Delisa house is not really accommodate the condition of the Delisa. You know, so it's difficult for her to go there. Okay, so then I move to my last part of my presentation here. Some problematic representation in this film. First is selecting a non-disabled actor to play a disabled character can be seen as the practice of creeping up. This is the special term, meaning that when the able body actors imitate the way disabled body move naturally. Now Hollywood, you know, started to selecting disabled actor if they have a story about that. Of course, it's not limited the story about disability. I mean, they're more open. Of course, this is after many pressure from, you know, disabled community. Yeah. So I quote here from Marlene Matlin. If I don't know if one of you recognize her. She played, I think the last film is Coda, the story about a girl who lived in a disabled family, but she's the only non-disabled. Her parents, both mother and father, is deaf, you know, and mute, and also her brother. But she aspired to be a singer. Can you imagine how the family know her talents, you know? So all this disabled actor is real disabled, right? And disabled person. So if we quote this here, this is one of the interview in the media, if not mistaken in folk, or I cannot remember. When there are character or role with a disability, they are usually about being disabled. Even worse, the roles for the most part are played by actors who are not disabled. Where is the authenticity there? So this is really real issue, But if you watch Indonesian films, still, played by non-disabled person. If you watch like Miracle in the Cell Number 7, Vino Kibastian, play, someone who has a mental disability or something like that, and many film. Mostly, I still cannot find the disabled actor there. So, Madeline call about the authenticity in the in the acting, especially by disabled person, because although let's say one of the famous actors from Hollywood as well, My Left Foot, if you remember, this is a story about the Irish author or something like that. Who is named the actors? Not Jeremy Iron, but it's really good, and then got award and people appreciate, But in some way, like Martin said, that still in some way, although there are technique in the acting, for instance, like the method drama or something like that. But then again, this is less than authentic, and the actor doesn't have any experience being a disabled person. This film is, of course, the Delisa character is not disabled. Putting a disabled character in the center of film narrative as an extraordinary persona can propagate inspiration porn. This is quite interesting term. Then in Indonesia, we really like, motivation, inspiration, or something like that, right? Like Delisa, look at, although she lost a leg or something like that, still, perform salat or something like that, recite Quran or something like that. Yeah, that's sort of like what's called the inspiration form. This actually refers to a phenomenon where disabled people are objectified and viewed as an inspiration for the non-disabled people. Especially this has happened for athletes in the Paralympic Games, when they won and got a medal or something like that. Look at that. They can run very fast, although they use, let's say, prosthetic kind of a leg or something like that. And then sometimes the media depict them as sort of like a superhuman or something like that. And this is just simply unrealistic, because not all disabled people can do like that. And in some way, this is what's so-called the super creep kind of model, when you, as a disabled person, only recognize when you have an achievement. When you don't have achievement, you are nothing, you are invisible. Yeah, so that's in some way the problem when, making disabled as a hero or something like that. Although, if you look at to the other side, that can be, a good or positive kind of role model for disabled person as well. Probably that inspire other disabled person, to strive, to get kind of achievements, particular achievement, for instance. Since disability tends to understood as a personal tragedy, and of course that related to the disaster, tsunami disaster, something like that. This film so little disabling barrier, like what's called disability, the examples like built environment, housing, transport, and other, physical infrastructure or something like that. Whether that's, it's really accessible for a disabled person, where people with disability are often denied the same right and opportunities as their non-disabled peers. Yeah, so in this film, we just only find out the personal struggle, and there is no kind of what so called the social kind of adjustment making by the government, local government, or the community to build, road, house that really serve people with disability, something like that. So this is the model of what so-called the personal tragedy, let's say, in contrast with the social kind of a model. So everything disabled person need to adjust with the environment instead of the environment should be designed to serve the interest and also the need of the disabled people, right? Yeah, I quote here Liz Crow. She said that most of us cannot just pretend that impairment is irrelevant because it affects every aspect of our life. We need to find a way to incorporate it into our overall experience and identity concerning our mental, emotional well-being, and our ability to overcome it. So that's the problem with the social model. Sometimes the social model bypass the, personal kind of experience. We cannot just make equal the experience between disabled and non-disabled person. There are still many barriers. Yeah, it's not easy being a disabled person. This is not try to be pity or something like that, but this is the real condition. Yeah. Of course, social infrastructure important, government policy is also important, but then we see we need also to look at the real condition of the disabled person as well. Yeah, so this is what I cannot find in that film. Yeah, mostly like, of course, sometimes Delisa is crying because she missed her mom or something like that, but it's not related to her condition. So if you look at that, she is really tough girl. I don't know is whether that quite real as a being disabled. Yeah. Sometimes being disabled. Sometimes For instance, like for me, sometimes I'm jealous with you can run or something like that. I cannot, right? And you can do anything you like. You can jump, dance, play football, everything. I cannot do it. So that's also part of in some way a self-reflection of my condition. Yeah. Okay. So the final note that, like I already mentioned, the intricate relationship between disability and religion has generated different perspectives among religious scholars, as well as various practices in Muslim community. There's one study, compared between Brunei, Jordan, and many Muslim countries, and the level of the practice slightly different how they try to deal with the disability issue. For instance, like if I'm not mistaken, in Jordan, the government have a policy stipulated that though the government is responsible for the well-being of the disabled people, but the government is not really serious to do that because this is the basis for service to disabled people just voluntarily and not, come from professional or something like that, in reality, right? As can be seen in the Hafalan Salat Delia, the adoption of the medical model has led to the understanding of disability as a personal tragedy which tends to overlook many disabling barriers faced by the disabled people. And moreover, the disabled character became a moral exemplar for her non-disabled peer and community, but her pain and struggle have been glossed over in the filmic representation. Right? It seemed that should be a inspiring a movie for me. Indeed, there are some problems related to filmic representation, like I already mentioned about inspirational porn or something like that, and also creeping up to making someone non-disabled play as a pretend to be disabled. which are inseparable from the dominant religious perspective regarding disability. So I think maybe we can share and discuss later on, since most of you, study religions, probably you can share also and how actually in practice and also in terms of perspective and thought about disability. So with that, I finish my presentation. Thank you, terima kasih, and then we can have answer.
All right, thank you, Dr. Budi, for the insightful presentation. So we have
Time for discussion and question. If you have a question or topic you want to share, you can raise your hand.
Yeah, I can do. Thank you very much, Mas Budi, for your excellent presentation and illuminating insights into how disability is represented in movie. I remember Marlene Matlin film on Children of the Lesser God in the 1980s. They got an Oscar for that. Yes, which was a sort of a brilliant representation of how children with disabilities have to cope with life and all. And I remember watching the latest Top Gun movie, and if you saw Val Kilmer there, he's having this problem now with speaking, his speech, right? Yet they insisted to still use Val Kilmer in that scene with Tom Cruise to sort of give the perfect representation of what it feels like to have a problem with speech. But one of the things I realized about this connection between religion and disability is that many of our houses of worship are not very accessible to many disabled people. Yeah? Many of our houses of worship tend to have many steps, tend to have many flights of stairs, which makes it very difficult with anyone having a problem with accessibility or wheelchair-bound people. But if you go to Masjid Uin, for instance, that has become one of the sort of prototype of what's called an inclusive masjid, where you have a ramp for people who are wheelchair-bound, and then you have chairs for people who might be overweight or unable to prostrate. And then you have the sign language, of course, during the Friday sermon, which I appreciate very much there. So, but you don't get a lot of these kinds of inclusive houses of worship. So I wanted your comment on that. And the last thing I wanted to ask you is this idea about disabled versus disable or differable. There seems to be a discursive debate about whether difficult or disability is better than disability. Now, I've heard some people saying by calling, quote unquote, these people with different abilities means that you are undermining the challenges in life and the inability of them to live perfect life. So I'm a bit confused with that. So is it politically correct or incorrect to use disability as opposed to disability? Thank you.
Jawab langsung. Jawab langsung. Biar lama.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mas Budi, for the presentation. I think I continue Mr. questions by emphasizing the. Let me see this way. I don't know if that is what you mean. You meant able perspective and disabled perspective on anything. And I want to bring it to religious. Um, I wonder, or I'm not really curious, or even I suspect that you would say the way we understand religion or the way we study religion has been very much by able perspective. And probably many other kinds of uh, subjects. So my question is that so how to use disabled perspective? I think it's not only like some places of worship or some access to other, to places or religious places, but the way we think, like being religious is using your perspective, the personal tragedy, the inspiration for what was this one? It is very much like a critique to able perspective. The way to describe, English knowledge. And so let me ask you like a very direct question. Do you see, because you are also, if you are practicing also, do you see very much actually that based on ego perspective? And so as religious person, the overall is very much just to really take them rather than you becoming as a person being religious. Thank you.
Wow, that was a very difficult question. Okay, first I would like to respond, as we are live in the same area. It's actually my neighbor. Okay, yeah. Regarding the issue about inclusive in relation to the, what's called the house of worship. I think not only apply to the disabled and non-disabled person, but then someday, if we have sometimes the different kind of uh, how to call it, the aliran or religious kind of stream, sometimes you cannot just perform prayer in that kind of house of worship. Uh, yeah, I still remember when I back many years ago when I come from Java and my close neighbor and never go to the same mosque because uh, he had a special mosque. And then this is, can you imagine, would we are a Muslim, but then because of the different kind of aliran or religious stream or something like that, or sects or something like that, you perform a separate, a mosque. In terms of disability, I think, yeah, of course, if we look at that, still in some way not quite accessible. Because not everyone can, perform like, for instance, like me, I need to sit on in the chair or something like that. I cannot just, just a bow and then a suture or something like that. It's impossible for my life. But the masjid, the mosque, as far as I'm concerned, there is no, let's say, furniture or something like that for people. Not actually not for just disabled person, but also like the elder people. Most elder people got very chronic, what's it called, the knee or rheumatic or something like that. Sometimes it's not, you cannot perform prayer in the correct way. And it's, I think, also related to the question of and because in terms of the core values and principle in religion is, like I already mentioned, is really concerned about disability, we treat disability equally or something like that. But the way the instruction and teaching of this kind of religion is actually in some way very biological. I still remember, I don't know, probably some of you as a Muslim probably still remember when our religious teacher asked, to read loudly. How if, someone is mute or Nawidah, yeah, and how to recognize all this Arabic alphabet without any, let's say, how to call it, viral alphabet or something like that. It's not difficult. Um, in some way, the way of this kind of religions or any religious values with some is so biased. For example, like in order to access film, uh, for the blind people or low vision people, you need to also call the audio description. Not only just listen the dialogue, the music, but also the description. In my festival in Jam, the festival in special program for useful visit or visiting cinema or something like that, because the someone with a low vision then accompanied by someone, and then the someone whisper about what really happened on the screen. Like, oh, they fought in the beach during the down or something like that, and then there's the sky is red or something like that. Not just simply listen to the sound of let's say wave or something like that and conversation. Yeah. That's for people with abilities offline. And then for deaf persons, we need what's called the uh, subtitle. Yeah. Not only just explain but also who actually talking. Who is talking now? Yeah, because sometimes, when someone has a very engaging conversation, sometimes which one is talking, which one is not, or something like that. That's quite difficult. So we call it closed caption subtitle. If you access Netflix or any platform on that, oh, this is someone the sound of the word or something like that, and then song and something like that. So yeah, now it makes more accessible. Yeah. And also in like art exhibition as well, they provide more. And back to the issue about the house of worship, I don't know, it's better, uh, partner, someone who manage the house of worship really thinks about, the need for disabled people is more like inclusive kind of facilities. Yeah, you mentioned like ramp and also. Then I remember when I did my PhD in National University of Singapore. So I did complain, because they have a lot of staff, and of course they built beautiful building with the very distinct topographical, like wood. But then I said to my friend, oh, NUS refer to National University of STEM and STEM. Because out of STEM and STEM, sweat, because I look like this one. A working stick is so difficult for me. Okay, so okay, about the term, yeah, this is still ongoing debate about that because the term is so important. Before they used like the term impairment, right? Impairment in Indonesia we translate to cacat or something like that. Now that's incorrect term, politically incorrect, because that seems like, oh, this is like personal defects or individual defect or something like that. This is abnormal or something like that. Then they change to disability, right? And some activists then introduce the term like different ability. This is not this, because this meaning that you don't have a particular kind of ability. I think it's more respectful if you use different ability. Okay. But again, like you said, then if we use this different ability, that seems that we just neglected the real condition of people with disabled condition. Especially like in academia, we still use disability instead of disability. Yeah, that's very generic kind of term. I think everyone aware about this term and the history of this term. But I think in some activists in Indonesia as well, they prefer to use instead of disability, which is like disability of remarkable or something like that, different ability or something like that. That's among activists. But the other activists also still use disability just to remind that you still have a problem. Like I have a one of my Chinese friends. When then the government introduced the term Tionghoa, right? Instead of China, because China, small bureaucratic and have a really negative kind of connotation or something like that, especially during the new order, because it is a part of the federal on the order, China, something like that. My friend disagree with that. I mean, disagree with using Tionghoa because if we use Tionghoa, it seems like the issue and the problem related to the Chinese people seem like resolved. So anymore. I think it's better they use China. Although say, oh, China is like, is insulting or no. We might add that we still have a problem with this. I also remember one of the, actually it's a part of joke, yeah, by Slovenian philosopher Slavoj Zizek, and he met Indian American and said, do you agree with the term Indian? Yes, I agree. That the monument of the stupidity of the white people. Because they thought that they, discover or, find out Indian, but actually there's American or something like that. There's a different kind of container or something like that. Yeah. It's a monument. I like the monument of stupidity. Okay, so back to this term. I think in academia we still use disability. Yeah, in any academic discourse we still use that term. Okay, so back to the question related to whether religion is really. I mean, look at that one. But it seems like everything is perfect. Getting disability, but then the problem is in practice. There are many ways to interpret. Like of course, the way how people implement the religious teaching sometimes impacted by some interest or political interest, something like that. Sometimes it's not really completely follow the teaching. Um, yes, I agree in some way there are bias in the religious practices because if we remember that actually we are living what one of the philosophers called in a popular centric paradigm. So meaning that everything is you know, centralized in what you call in the optics. Um, Although we have, five senses, but the ultimate senses is actually the vision or optics. Um, yeah, when we, look at everything is actually so that's why one of my disabled friends said being blind is so difficult compared, let's say, just only have one leg or something like that. But blind is totally a different kind of experience. But we cannot see anything, and everything is actually has been visualized, and yeah, that's really. Even I have a silly question with my blind friend. How you feel, and how to differentiate when you are still in a dream and awake. So what the difference? Because all my dream is very visual, right? When I awake, then oh, this is I recognize, oh, this is my room or something like that, or oh, this I just dream. But for blind or low vision, how do you differentiate between them? And the answer is quite interesting, because they use, instead of the visual sense or something like that, they use like uh, um, the aroma, okay, and the sound or something like that. So he can differentiate it before he went to sleep and after he awake, when the sound and everything slightly different. So yeah, that's kind of mystery for me. I can't imagine how to do it. Even I've a question as well, like, can you differentiate between um, little and not, or very little and not, without touching? Okay. So how to do that? That he said that he can differentiate between the sound, the voice, and also the aroma. So yeah, that's the way how that's my suggestion. But that really, because most of us, when we say, oh, there's a beautiful, pretty, handsome, it's mostly actually visual, right? So that's why in K-pop, someone in the center is called visual. Because it's very, camera face or something like that, handsome, beautiful, just in the center, because that's the center of the focus of the audience. We call it visual. Yeah. Okay, back to this. In some way, probably it's quite interesting, to ask our disabled and how they, how do you call it, I have to internalize the personal experience, communicating with God, something like that. Without any, even like me now, I still imagine God is like the elder person with the white skin or something like that, with the stick or something. It's so difficult. It's difficult to imagine God as women, right? Always men. Even like, because in Quran and also in most of Bible, the the Quran prophet is like him, so stuff like that. So yeah, of course that's understandable in the context of the society. But again, my imagination is still like that. Like some man, a girl very wise, probably like what's it called, in the Lord of the Ring, the one of the yeah, Gandalf. Oh God, Gandalf. Yeah, so it's very peaceful. Even like the way how, especially Quran, a little bit to talk about that. The way how Quran depict, heaven, so peaceful. It's a yeah, we have a river made from milk or something like that. A beautiful angel, all is peaceful. It's like a garden, everything. Yeah. Yeah, so peaceful. I don't know if that really resonates with long vision of blind people. The description of the heaven like that. It's so peaceful. So vivid, so peaceful, and I cannot imagine what kind of heaven for people with low vision or blind. It's a really, like they finally got the colorful word or something like that because they sometimes don't know it dark, light, or thin. Again, if we deep into sacred texts, so many not only just in the Quran but also other texts, which way the way how God speaks. It's mostly like the very visual things. And yeah,
Thank you so much, Mr. Budi. My name is Nora and I'm from University Studies. Uh, actually now, I collecting data for my thesis under the perception of the tourist towards affordable facility and credible tourism. So yeah, I focus on disability things. So thank you so much for uh, this performance about Melissa because yeah, it's based on my
oh, belajar bisa.
the business of my progress. I believe Melissa right now is a step of basic bank. Yeah. Yeah. So I asked him that about the movie about disability because you mentioned the disability focusing on the Lisa, which is the physical disability. And we know that disability is more than that because some research say that there are four disability types: physical, sensory, autism, mental, yeah, and I focus on sensory. I asked him your opinion. If we make a movie about disability, just let's say about the deaf people, and we know that we use the sign language. I'm asking your opinion. If we make the movie about the people with them, is it okay we use them as an actor rather than the actor who learn the sign language? Because in Indonesia there are controversy about the sign language in CB and Singo, and mostly people use CB because it's under government. However, if we ask the perception, ask they prefer the Singo because it's based on model tongue like us. And also, if the actor learn the sign language, I believe there are some miss like the emotion, the expression because the missing one is expression to talk with people. Yeah, I think that's all. That's all your opinion because two previous question is very heavy, so I asked her one question.
Again, the last question.
No, I just asked your opinion if we make the movie for the deaf people as the actor rather than the actor who will sign language.
Yeah. Okay, thanks for your question, Mana. Yeah, I think, yeah, I aware that there's a spectrum of disability, like you mentioned, like sensory, physical, and also mental. Probably, I don't know, I just speculate. Like, Professor just this story, adapted in film, like, of course, because the novel also published by the Publica, and also the different kind of, so the one is starvation. Okay, our image about disability is mostly like physical disability, like people like the symbol of, parking for disabled people, using like wheelchair or something like that. Of course, not represent the spectrum of disability. And sometimes the government using disabled people who use a wheelchair as part of like my colleague like you said that oh this program is very inclusive. Look at we have disabled participant here. But this is just simply in my opinion it's not really uh, the how to the truly concern of the government for them. But just to make it look like very inclusive. Um, Regarding to the actors here, I think if I have opportunity to choose the actor, I prefer the disabled actor. So, because it seems like the problem is not just the disabled can play this more natural or something like that. Because at the same time, it seems that they give more opportunity for the disabled people to enter this industry, the film industry. This has happened, I think, during 2016 in Hollywood. There's a hashtag called Hollywood So White, meaning that most of the actors, like, and sometimes we call it that this is a like whitewashing, like people like someone supposed to be like play as Asian actors or something like that. Also, it's not really Asian. I still remember one of the films is actually adapted from anime called Ghost in the Shell. It's supposed to be the main character is Japanese, but instead it's Scarlett Johansson. And all the fans of this anime, upset about that. Why it's so whitewashing or something like that. And after that, so white, then a lot of demands to the Hollywood that they need to employ disabled actors. Actually, so many talent amongst disabled people. So again, regarding to the sign language, of course, there is a sort of like a gap in SLBs, luar biasa, I think it's about CB, but in real life people use Visindo because Visindo is more like very dynamic and even like there is no actually a standard for them. Even like in different places, the way how they describe, let's say, a country is different. Something like that or something different. It's not even the sign language is not universal. Yeah. That's the challenge. We don't have so far much learning about that. Mostly, like even like we have a very little learning about mental or intellectual disability. Mostly like physical disability or sensory disability like blind or something, but not deaf or mute or something like that. I think that's quite challenging. So when I watched the program, it's quite interesting because they put a subtitle like now as a non-disabled in terms of you know speech or something like that, then I became disabled because I don't understand that then I need to rely on the subtitle. Go to compensation that like okay, then I understand the compensation. Why using the subtitle? Yeah, so yeah, I think will be good if we have many women, represent different spectrum of this ability. We know some of the film about the mental and mental disability, but the other film mostly still physical disability. Somewhere people like the funny thing about that is let's say you work let's say the film or it's a drama, and the character got an accident and cannot walk, and then they use like walking stick or crutch, always wrong. Yeah, even they never do the homework to do that, even the actor, If let's say you got a fracture here, like me, I've got a fracture in my back. the way of the use platform instead should be in the lab, not here. Because, but look at the senator or any just like in, of course, it's difficult to work. Yeah? Because all your weight should be in the lab. So yeah, this very simple. This is very simple. It's not too complicated, right? Because how to use working state or cups. That's very wrong. Never learn about it. Like for instance, like if the character is blind, yeah, people still get wrong. Sometimes they top the hand and then the finger. That is completely wrong. It's not like that. The correct thing is the blind person is actually not this not just like this. It's not like that. You find a lot of it's a wrong. I got an anecdote from my friend. This is actually blind. It's a funny story. You know, when one day when he's standing in the side of the road, and then someone one disabled person and then cross the road and then it's like, okay, I have to cross the road. But that's completely wrong. Actually, he went to their friend to pick up him, not want to go across the road. So after the other side of the road, then go back.
Aduh.
It's too confident to help. It's like, yeah, like, and also like my friend asked, we have a meeting, and then our friend is actually blind, and then he got go-kart, and then my friend, he just, saw the bias in bahasa, kamu sampai mana? Beliau up there, mana gua tahu, gua kan buta. Something like that. How you know you are in right position? I'm blind, I'm not seeing anything. No. So that even in daily life, we sometimes still advise the reason. How come you ask about that? And by the way, like being someone with a problem with hearing or something like that, or deaf or something like that, is sometimes it's quite challenging because when people look at you, it look like quote unquote normal, there's something wrong with you, but then you cannot understand anything people talk. And if people don't know, it seems like you arrogant or something like that. Actually, you don't know what they are talking about at all. Yeah, sometimes it's quite challenging based on my friend experience as well. They say, oh, you're blind, you never come back to me and reply my letter because I don't understand. But yeah, okay. Yeah, okay, yeah, I hope I answered the question. We are now. Last question.
Yeah, last question that I'm going.
Actually, just a simple question. Maybe not too much religion, maybe looking at it so scary. Yeah, since you mentioned about the involvement of disabilities into film industry in contemporary Hollywood, I also reflect to the English context. Like I remember about Mauri Surya film, and people what they don't talk about when they talk about love. It's really amazing story. But when in this discussion, I also problematize about this film because although it was involved many disabled people as an actor, but still, Mauli Surya uses them as the karakter sampingan, how do you say?
Sidekick or something like that.
And also, supporting characters, and the main characters are played by non-disabled actors, actors like such as siapa Nicola Saputra and also Karina Salim, which is it's two which is the film have the purpose, have the interest by how to engage more audience because yeah you know because Saputra handsome coy and Karika Salim pretty coy. We need the audience to engage audience. So yeah we made the disability as additional and still the age of the roles instead of the I just want to ask. My question is, my question is how to engage this industry, there is capitalistic centric, and we know the standard of ganteng and pretty, gitu. So it also, but in the other hand, it can be apa namanya marginalize the disabled people. Although it was emancipating at the beginning, but still discriminate in the practice.
What's your name?
Oh yeah, Akar.
Akar. Okay. Thanks for the question, Akar. Yeah. Yeah. Talking about the Indonesian film industry is a bit complicated because this is not only just issue about discrimination against disabled actors or disabled talent, let's say, but also the way how our film industry work is actually still practice what called the star system. Uh, in some way, in the process of casting, sometimes the investor or the film producer, very much involved because that's related about the salary, how much they should pay the actors or something like that. Yeah, and because like the high paid actor like Indonesia can be to something like that. So that's why they quite careful to choose the actors. And sometimes now the basis for casting particular actor is not necessarily based on the capacity to act. Sometimes it's based on how many followers you have in your social media account. Because the producer would have then can assume that, let's say, the half of the total of the subscriber or followers or something like that watch that film at least they got, let's say, 500,000 audience, something like that. That's really happened actually. When you know, like KKN Desa Penari, right? The first one, the first involvement. All is actually actors is actually popular in social media, not in the to the Vietnam film industry or film or something. But they have a lot of kind of followers. So when I got it, why I never recognize the actor, they come from this film industry, but come from social media. And back to the question about the disabled actor, yes, of course, like non-disabled they struggle, to get role in that film because again the bias of star system. The producer thought that if they put all the famous stars, they will, the film will be successful. But in fact, it's not. Sometimes box office cannot be predicted. It's so difficult. There's no formula, such formula how to make the film hit box office or commercial success. There's no formula for that. And then this simply just basing an instinct or something like that. It's
real for it. And of course, disabled got more a challenge compared to non-disabled. Sometimes they just simply, don't believe that they can act or something like that, or he or she can act. And sometimes the professor probably thought that, oh, if we hire disabled actors, probably we need a lot of any kind of equipment and everything, and also assistant and also like, you know, bicara Isara or something like that, like some language expert to do that or something like that. So sometimes they thought in terms of practical people, also some of the pragmatic kind of consideration in terms of cost that because they then need to hire another person as an assistant or something like that compared to let's say idol actors. But again, the story, I think, about disability or disabled person, I think, for me, still wise if, you get your higher disabled actor because then they have not only just they can act in a natural way and really express their authentic experience being disabled in some way. Probably, if the script writer and also the director is non-disabled person, I mean, the actor can give a feedback and give some thought about that. So that's the benefit. Film producer hire disabled actors because they get more different type of perspective. Because normally like a script writer, a director, director of photography and so on, is mostly influenced by idols. So then, I think not only just in terms of the acting, I mean, disabled also can operate the camera or something like that. And that also important, not only just being an actor, the other department in the film. Like film script, I think there's no barrier for disabled person. So hopefully, yeah. Last but not least.
It's very interesting presentation about movies presenting disability and religion, Pak Budi, and I'm sorry I was running late and I didn't follow all of your presentation, but maybe because this is last questions and I'm wondering if you had a chance to make a movie and because you've been a jury of film everywhere and I think you got this privilege to make a movie and representing disability and of course incorporating religious values in the movies. I think I think it's going to be one of your domain if you have to be a director. And also, what kind of perspective that you want to present at best that align with your your experience because you have this kind of disability working. And how would you represent also the lack of religious perspective that might not put in the movie so far in Indonesian movie industry? Thank you very much.
Thanks for the last question, Hanu. Okay, yeah. This is actually one of my wish, but I'm aware with my capacity probably I cannot direct, let's say, features of fiction, but more documentary probably still okay because that is mostly on data or something like that. You can make from research or something like that. One of the late Malaysian film director Yasmin Ahmad, when I met her and invited her to Jogja and said to me, "Would you must next time we must be like, no, I'm not just, like a film scholar, I did this and on couple of the film that. No, you must. And then she passed away, and then how did me now?
Yes.
You like, yeah. There's something, yeah, I should try to do that, and yeah, regarding disability, I have so many obsession about that. Like I want to write about disability art in Indonesia. Many people know how many disabled artists and visual art. I organize now about disability art, and this year will be in October, and also uh, disability art festival in Jogja, Taman Budaya. That's an annual event, and yeah, I really want to contribute, not because being as a disabled, but I think because this is quite important issue, and easily overlooked and neglected in many kind of aspects, in policy and so on and so forth, even like in the art world as well. Uh, I think if we make that film should be film based on on the perspective of the authentic kind of experience of the disabled person, right? Because that can explain different kind of what do you call it facet of experience of being disabled. I did many autobiography written by disabled author, and so interesting, and this even like they have a same kind spectrum of disability in the way how they write, and because against experience is very unique. Everyone have own experience, and then and also sort of like point of view, dream, anxiety and everything. Sometimes for me is quite interesting, but the temptation sometimes we tend sometimes to how to call it self-centered, and also sometimes we making us look like important subject. That's the I think the challenge, like the temptation to do that. Um, how to make it our experience is accurate. I mean, not I don't want to say that people can learn from us. But I mean, that sometimes we have kind of a connection with the other people experience as well. I mean, we have similarities, of course. Of course, we have differences, but of course, we have similarities with the other people as well. Like, that's the challenge, how to make out of our experience also, uh, quote unquote universal, universal meaning that people can relate to that kind of experience. That's, I think, the challenge, and try to not to egocentric. And try to experience the story or narrative in the fiction. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Budi, for your insight, and everyone. I hope this meeting is giving you good insight. And for the next one is we have appreciation for Dr. Budi.
Mas Iqbal.
And for
Mas Iqbal yang kasih.
Pak Frans Vincent.
Waisan. Mas Iqbal ya.
Our appreciation. Oh, thank you. Oh, and,